and welcome to everybody. And I declare this AGM open. I am Corinne Abel, now chairperson of HCI Foundation. And I just want to welcome all of you here, some of you as far afield as Paris, which is pretty amazing. And I guess that's the positive side of Zoom and COVID. Right now, we're not feeling very many positives in South Africa, but thank you all for being here, and it's terrific to see how many people have joined us. I don't think we have any apologies from anybody, but I would like to just make mention of some of the people who are here with us, and I'd like to welcome them, in particular, board members of HCI, the trustees of the foundation.
Hulle is nou on, dankie.
Jenny, could you switch off and put yourself on mute and switch off, please? All our representatives of our beneficiaries. It's so great to have you here, and we're glad that you're still going and still keeping your heads above water. So thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do in this country. To our current and past bursary recipients, thank you. To HCI and HCI Foundation staff, and to all our friends. Welcome to everybody. I'd like to mention some of our trustees who have left the foundation, but not left their involvement, some of them. So firstly, to our outgoing chairman, John Copeland. Johnny, thanks for everything you've done for the foundation and for steering this ship, sometimes a difficult one to steer, and I hope I can continue to do that. But thanks for all that you've done, and I know that you keep a close relationship with the foundation as CEO of HCI. So thank you. And to our other outgoing trustees, Candy Tothill from Tsogo, Carol van der Reede, who used to work for the foundation, thank you very much to them. Candy had a long relationship with the foundation and still helps us out with various things. And in particular, I need to pay tribute to Amon and Tuli, who had resigned but due to ill health, but who passed away at the beginning of this year. And Amon was with HCI Foundation from the beginning. He was the president of SECTU for 20 years. And he just was a presence that was steady and always available, always fair, always concerned about the other, and particularly concerned about education in this country. And we miss him dearly. He was a rock, and may his spirit live on forever. And I'd like to thank Jamala and his staff for the great job that they're doing. Jamala for leading the team during a difficult time. Jamala took over in 2019, and he had a few months COVID-free, and then suddenly everything went upside down. So I'm sorry about that, Jamala. I didn't plan it that way, but thanks for leading the foundation in the way that you have. And I think you've built a great team, and everybody who's part of that team, the small team, has just done fantastically in the past difficult year. So our focus in the foundation is on early childhood development, on youth development, and on education in general, and on environment. And I think that for this particular meeting, we will be talking particularly about how we work together with other organizations, how we bring organizations to work together for greater impact. And I think we have some interesting people who will be talking about that. And just on the area of early childhood development, that's been a passion of mine for years and years. And I was interested to hear yesterday that research is showing that one of the ways that we combat violence in a society is to start early. And as early, of course, as birth, but those early years of development are absolutely critical, not only in growing a child for his or her contribution to society later, but also in mitigating against violence in a society. So I'm really glad that we continue to do that kind of work, that we focus on that work, and well done to all those organizations working in that area. And now I call on Jamala to give his report as the CEO. We have some protocol issues. Jamala will give his report, then we'll present the audited financial statements, and then we've got some fun discussions and interesting information that we'll be sharing. So Jamala, over to you.
Thank you, Corinne, and thank you for that introduction. Well, it's really wonderful. I mean, I was just looking at the numbers here. We've got 151 people in the room. So it's really such a great pleasure to have so many of you here, especially at our second annual general meeting today. It's virtual. Of course, we'd have wished, to have this in person as everyone, shake hands. It's always really vibrant when we meet face to face. But unfortunately, we know the situation could not allow it. But ultimately, we really remain happy and proud to see all of you still coming together today to share this moment with us. I'm pleased to see, our grant beneficiaries, our current and former bursary recipient, our board members from HCI, our trustees of the foundation. We've got HCI staff and HCI Foundation staff members, as well as friends of the foundation. So very welcome for all of you to this AGM. What a year it has been when you think about it. I mean, the financial year 2021 was extraordinarily a very difficult year for the foundation and for our beneficiaries. We started our financial year 1st of April 2020, and this was just almost a week after the announcement of the hard lockdown, which started on the 26th April 2020. So just imagine the uncertainty that followed. And not only for us, but for all of us, at the country, as an organization and the individual. But what has been encouraging though is how quick we have reinvented ourselves to navigate these challenging times. We have found ways to remain resilient and resolute to continue to pursue our mission, vision, our dreams, even in this difficult time. For our grant beneficiaries in particular, a lot of them, they reimagined their work and came up with creative and flexible approaches to continue delivering their services to community they serve in line with COVID-19 protocol. So it wasn't easy, but you still made it happen. Our bursary recipient did not give up on their dreams. They adapted quickly on learning and studying online, and often in isolation and away from their peers, but still they managed to achieve outstanding results. So we celebrate you, our beneficiaries, for your resilient spirit and for continuing to be an inspiration to all of us, especially during these difficult times. Before I can touch on the theme of today, and really I will be brief on it, I would love maybe just to share a few metrics on the foundation's work for the year under review. Just a slide just to show how we have been doing. And from there, then I will continue to touch on our on the theme of today. Let me just share the screen. Or Sinetemba, if you've got it ready, please share it. Okay, so this is the matrix. Can you see my screen? I think you can see it. So really, it's just a few metrics that I thought it's very valuable just to show you where we are standing at the foundation for this financial year. So when you compare the financial year 2021 to the financial year 2022, you'll see really like our spend has decreased in a big way. We've come from 41.8 million rand, and for the financial year under review, our spend was 23.6 million rand. The number of grant beneficiaries we had in year 2020 was 145. For the year under review, we funded 65 grant beneficiaries. We've got a program which we call Community Transport Support Program in partnership with Golden Arrow Bus Services. It's implemented here in the Western Cape. And there we make buses available to organizations. We had 40 beneficiary organization in the year 2020. In the year under review, we had 31 partner organization, and you'll see only 17 of those organizations were able to use their allocation. And we understand it's because of the COVID protocol. It was difficult actually for organizations to continue with their activity as normal. Number of bursary recipients, we came from 564, and for the year 2021, we supported 203 students. And here I would love just to say, of course, there is that issue of funding where we wanted to cut our spend, but also it's really just a strategic move. We used to support a large number of bursary recipients, largely at the undergraduate level, but with government's introduction of free higher education, we have decided to cut down on our spend in this area, focus on postgraduate diploma student, postgraduate diploma student, and honors student only. So it's really become a niche program, and really it was just our strategic move to cut down on the number of bursary recipients we are supporting there. The number of graduates, I'm happy to say we had 125 graduates in this year, of course, as well, because we had a fewer bursary recipients compared to the previous year. That's the picture from the foundation side. But I'd love just to take you to the next slide, because this was part of the work that we did, really huge initiative that we did in the year under review. It was the HCI Foundation E-Media Lunchbox Fund Food Relief Campaign. A lot of you'll remember we were on the TV raising funds from the public to be able to provide food parcels to community and individually in extreme need. We receive, in terms of donation, we receive 23.3 million rands. Really thanks to South Africa generosity. Number of partner organizations we work with, 269, huge really. And this is throughout the country. Number of households we managed to reach is over 65,000 households. And when you look at the number of people who benefited, we're talking about over 260,000 individuals. That gives you a picture in numbers as to how we operated last year. And it gives you a picture how things, in fact, have been difficult in terms of budget and so on. But yes, it was difficult here, and cutting down on the budget and the number of beneficiaries was not an easy decision to make, but it was necessary under the circumstances. But we hope things will improve as the economy rebound. I think we have to remain optimistic, and we will grow again, and hopefully the number of our beneficiaries and our spend will once again increase. But what is interesting though, is that these changes give us another opportunity, and one of that opportunity was to deepen our involvement with our partner organization, which is really a great thing. So although we shrank in terms of reach, in terms of budget, I think in terms we have been growing in terms of depth and breadth, which is a great thing for us. So let me touch a little bit just on our theme for today, collaborating for greater impact. I think one, perhaps what you'll say, interesting things, or maybe a silver lining in the COVID storm has been the pursuit of fruitful collaboration between likely and unlikely partners for the benefit of communities that we serve. I think ultimately we've realized like one person or one organization cannot do it on its own. Even for government and private sector, there's been a lot of collaboration to try and address or mitigate the impact of COVID-19. We saw in the vaccine procurement and distribution and so on, PPE and so on. So really that has been the trend. And for us here at the foundation, collaboration has been the key ingredient in the successes that we have seen under in the year under review. And I would reflect maybe on just three elements, three large initiatives that we had in the year under review, how collaboration played a big role there, and how we will take collaboration going forward, perhaps in the next 3 years to come within these three large initiatives. Of course, we've got other initiatives, but because of time, I'll just highlight only these three initiatives. The first one is, of course, the food relief campaign. I mean, we all remember how things went, and food was a big issue and remained a big issue. And as a country, I think we needed to do something. We came together as a country, and of course, we managed to raise the amount of money that we've spoken about, but we couldn't do it on our own. We managed to achieve what we achieved. It's because of the power of collaboration. We collaborated with eMedia, we collaborated with Lunchbox Fund, we collaborated with 269 partner organizations to make this initiative work. And remember, the big part of this was collaborating with South African. We couldn't have done it on our own, and neither of our partners would have done it on their own. It shows again the power of collaboration to achieve greater impact. So how do we take this forward? I think the big issue is that we know what we did was really short-term basis. Providing food relief was really short-term. And what we came to learn, or what we, perhaps COVID brought to our face, make bare to our face, was that, issue of food security is a big thing in the country. And we have to do something much more medium to long term to try and really address it. And what we came up, again here in collaboration with our partner, was to start a food security, sustainable food security program. How did this initiative come to be? We brought partners. I think we're lucky as a foundation to have partners, partner organizations within our network with really huge experience, vast experience and knowledge in diverse areas of our work. And one particular area is food gardening. So we brought 5 partner organizations that are very much involved in this space and spoke and engaged with them to say, how can we conceptualize something medium to long term to try and address issue of food security? And what we came up, we conceptualized an initiative, a sustainable food security program, and we have started implementing it as a report here. So it's being implemented by 5 partners in 3 provinces in the country. And this is a pilot phase that we'll do in the next 3 years. And what we want to achieve with this program is really to help communities to be food secure, to help community to be able to produce their own food at a small to medium scale, and hopefully to start slowly addressing the issue of food security in the country. So this is a growth area for us, which of course couldn't be possible without the help of our partner, without collaboration, and we hope to report more on this in the years ahead. So we're excited about it, and we'll tell you more and more about it when we meet next time. The next element I would love just to touch on, and Corinne has alluded to it already, is early childhood development. We know that this sector nearly was at the brink of collapse during the COVID and, due to COVID-19 and lockdown. As we know, parents were not able to pay fees, and government actually did not make a stimulus package available. So what happened here is that the sector itself came together. It was again collaboration. Organization came together and put a unified, holistic response to address the issues that they saw in the sector. Firstly, the issue of stimulus package, the issue of how do we give food to children who often they get their meals just at school, and how do we get PPEs and to communities and families that this ECD organization usually supports. So it was really a great thing to see the sector coming together, collaborating, and making sure that government understands like there is an agency here to do something. What has happened ultimately, or maybe as a result, we've got a sector that is really strong, unified, and I will say collaboration is really something that is driving the sector going forward. And we saw, without it, I think with that collaboration, what happened ultimately as a result, we saw those ECD organization and ECD center played a critical role in the reopening of schools an ECD center in line of the COVID protocol. If they did not come together, I don't think we'd have achieved that. And if they would have been talking on their own, each organization in its own corner, I don't think we'd have achieved what they've achieved. And early this year, when government announced, that stimulus package are available, we saw again organizations coming together and helping, especially those with resources and capacity, helping those who are less privileged to be able to apply for the stimulus package. I'm happy to say that 11 of our ECD organizations that we supported in the year under review, they were part of this consortium, this organization that came together, and they play a critical role to assist organizations to apply for the stimulus package. Here at the foundation now, how did this happen? How collaboration played in this space of ECD space, ECD, early childhood development space? So we had reviewed, prior to COVID, we've reviewed our strategy in the ECD space. And what we had come up with as our new strategy was what we call Excellence in ECD Program. How does that work? It was really to say, well, our intention was actually to make sure children have access to quality, inclusive, and transformative play-based learning program provided by skilled, qualified, passionate, and nurturing, imaginative teachers. And ultimately, what we wanted to create beyond this is just to not offer support training, but to offer mentoring to teachers and to build bridges between ECD programs and formal schooling, and to be able to track the progress of children as they move into formal schooling. And to make that happen, of course, we couldn't do it on our own. We again relied on the collaboration with our partners. They help us to actually conceptualize this strategy and to implement it. As I report here, our ECD organization, 11 of them, they've started implementing this strategy, and we are working together to ensure that collaborative effort continue. And as we speak, I mean, when you think about it, if we have to make this success a success, we have to continue collaborating, because we don't have the resources on our own as a foundation. We don't have the capacity as ECD center, so we have to work together. And so far, we are bringing in other partners on board. We've got Lunchbox Fund providing nutritional support. We are collaborating with Book Dash to provide books. We are collaborating with other grant makers to bring more funds into this space so that at least this strategy can succeed, because ultimately that's what we want to see. We want to see every child being able to reach his or her full potential by working together. The last point that I would love maybe to touch on is really on our bursary program, which is, again, is one of our key focus areas. We offer funding to students at universities in the country, but we know funding on its own is not enough. To make it happen, to make it a student a success in his or her journey, we have to actually walk the journey with them. We have to offer them support. And the foundation on our own, we cannot. So we partner with a number of critical stakeholders to make this happen. And one of them is HCI, our investment company here. And what HCI does is that we recruit volunteers from the HCI subsidiary companies to become mentors to our students. And what they do then, they walk this journey with the student and help actually to unlock other opportunities for the student. A lot of our students are final year students, and sometimes it's just a matter of really helping them as well to understand how to enter into the job market. We can't do it on our own, and those mentors play a very big role. This is again a collaboration, because even the mentor and mentee, it's really about collaboration. Ultimately, they have to collaborate. It's a relationship. And what we have done, or what we are doing going forward, is to bring in our partner organizations to be also mentors. You know, we've got quite a number of some of the people here who are already mentors, directors of our NGOs who have volunteered to be mentors. And we hope to see more and more people coming into the program so that it can succeed. Ultimately, I think it's a critical success factor of our bursary program is a relationship. And if we succeed in building relationship, collaborating to unlock other opportunities for our young people, I think we'll continue to see success and will ensure that actually they reach their full potential. That's really what has been for us. So ultimately, collaboration is something that has been driving us. And as we know, in closing, we all have got limited resources and capacity as individuals, as communities and organizations. But by collaborating, you know, we create a powerful, we become much more stronger to be able to achieve greater impact, to be able to deliver on our mandate and making actually South Africa move forward. One writer once said that coming together is the beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. So I hope that we'll continue to work together to collaborate so that we can make sure that the community and the individuals that we support are successful to achieve their mission, vision, and dreams in life. So thank you very much for all of you. And I'm sure as we go today, we'll talk more about collaboration and we'll continue to collaborate. So thank you very much. And thank you, Corinne, for your introduction. I will stay here and answer the question later on when we start taking question and answer. Thank you.
Good. Thanks so much, Chamala. Thank you for that. I'm struck by the irony that we talk about being together and the power of togetherness, the power of the many compared to the individual. And yet here we all are, each in our individual space. This past year has been a year where we have had to keep our distance from everybody. And yet we found ways to come together because I think that's human nature. If we can't in some way find paths to meet, then I think we are lost. And so I think it's just wonderful to see this path. We have over 170 participants here. So thanks to those who came a bit late, and thank you to everyone who's putting their hellos onto the chat. It's really wonderful to see, and I hope that some of you will connect with each other when you see where different people are from. Feel free to write to them, get in touch and make contact, because there's always another hand that can help out. So thanks for emphasizing that point of togetherness, and we do have to continue to find ways of working together. And I'd like to now call on Kevin to give his financials. Kevin Govender is on the main board of HCI, and he's been a trustee on our board on the foundation since inception and absolutely invaluable to us. And before Kevin actually comes on to give his report, I'm sorry, I was a little remiss and I didn't introduce our other trustees, which I'd like to do right now. And I see one of them right there, Rachel, the only one with her video on. Welcome, Rachel. That's Rachel Watson, who used to work for SACTU, Southern African Clothing and Textile Workers Union, and she's a terrific board member now for the last few years. So you're welcome to say hello, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I put my video on so that you can see that I'm here. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Good to be
and,
here.
John Dammit, John, if you can just switch on your video for a moment so that we can see you are. John Dammit works for Golden Arrow Bus Company, and he too has been a trustee ever since the inception.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Corinne.
Thanks, John. Thanks for saying hello. And Jabu Nobo, Jabu, if you're here, please say hello. Jabu's past General Secretary of the Union. Hi, Jabu. I can't see you, but nice to hear your voice. Thanks, Jabu.
I'm on video.
We can see you.
Right. Okay.
Videos.
Hi, Jabu, a stalwart, absolute stalwart of the foundation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. And one of our newest members, Nkobani Mkwanazi. Bani, can you say hello, please? I don't know if I pronounced your name very well, but I tried.
Good morning. Hello, Corinne. You did very well. Thank you.
Thanks, Hans. Lovely to see you. So So that's our board, and Kevin, of course, who will come on now to give his report. Thanks, Kev.
Thanks, Corinne. And good day to everyone. Jamala, can we put the report on the screen?
It's on the screen, Kevin.
Thanks, Jamala. Good day to everyone. The HCI Foundation's annual financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2021 has been presented. These are the audited financial statements, and they've been audited by our auditors, BDO, who we've appointed for the next financial year as well. These financials have been approved by the trustees as well. If we just go on to the statement of financial position, which sets out our assets and all our liabilities, basically for the 2021 financial year, the foundation has a capital base of 296 million rand, and that was made up mostly by two investments, which is our investment in Sokosan Hotels, which approximate 200 million rand, and another investment in Montauk Holdings, which approximated 100 million rand. So those were the two investments primarily that the foundation held, and those are quite significant investments that we held during the course of the year. If you look at the previous, sorry, Jamala, stay on the same page. If you look at the previous financial year, the investments at fair value reflected an amount of 164 million. This was at March 2020. And in the current financial year, we saw a significant gain in those investments towards the latter part of the year, taking it up to 296 million. So those investments were actually dropped in value significantly in the prior year. And we've seen a gain towards the end of the year, which brought it back up to a more manageable and acceptable level. The other side of the balance sheet is the capital side, and the main thing to note there is we had a loan from HCI, which is our investment company, that provided a loan of about 25 million rand in the year, which assisted us to meet all our commitments for the financial year. If you go on to the next slide, which is the statement of changes, sorry, the statement of profit and loss. In the last financial year, you see in 2020, we had 42 million rand in revenue that came in. That revenue comprised mainly of dividends received from our investments, which we had a large dividend in the prior financial year. In this financial year, the 2021 financial year, we didn't have any dividends that came through from our investments because our investments, mainly in the hotel sector and in Montauk, came under significant pressure and they couldn't pay us any dividends. So the foundation needed to sustain itself without any dividend income for the year. Hence the loan from HCI that assisted us. So all we had was 483,000 rand, which was interest income that we had in the year. We had operating expenses, which was the expenses needed to run the foundation, salaries, the rents and all of that, which came to 4.3 million, which the previous financial year was 4.9 million. So we had some savings in the current financial year. And then if you notice, the big change in the year was our project expenses. In the previous financial year, 2020, we had spent 36 million rand on projects in various different projects and programs in the year. But for the 2021 financial year, we had to significantly curtail those programs, and we could only spend 19.3 million rand in the year, mainly due to the fact that we had a lack of funding in the year, and we had our dividends that dried up, so we couldn't keep to all the same level of commitment as the previous financial year. The next item on that income statement is the gain in the year. If you look at the previous financial year, we had a big write down in those investments as the market dropped. But in this financial year, towards the end of March, they picked up significantly, which assisted us to an extent. However, we hadn't been able to sell a lot of those investments towards the end of the financial year. Next slide, Jamala. This is the statement of changes in equity. There isn't much that I want to just take you through on this, just to show that at the 1st of April 2019, we had a trust capital of about 427 million rand. And through the COVID period for the last 2 years, you'll see that it had significantly declined, and then it had picked up again towards, as we had a slight recovery in March, to 274 million rand in assets. So we lost quite a lot of capital in the value of our investments over the last 2 years. Next slide, Jamala. And this is our cash flow statement. The statement this is just showing mainly how we funded our projects for the year. We had cash utilized in operations of 19.2 million, which is all our programs that we had spent monies on. The previous year was just 1 million rand, mainly due to the fact that we had dividend income that came in to offset the project spending. And that 19 million for this financial year was met and funded by a loan from a related party, which is a loan from HCI of 25 million to assist us with all of the programs and the spending for the current year. The next slide is our detailed income statement, which shows all the projects, and it shows specifically what I've just been explaining to you. If you look, you see the net interest income was just the 483,000 rand. The dividends was nothing for this year compared to 42.6 million for the last financial year. Our operating expenses is there, as I explained, 4.9 down to 4.3. And then if you look at the project expenses, you see our bursaries, we had spent 12.2 million in the prior year. This year, we had to cut it down significantly down to 5 million rand. The community transport was another big expense for the last year of 3.2. This year got cut down to 462,000. All of the expenditure itself was dropped. In fact, formal education dropped from 11 million down to 7.4 million. Same with people at risk as well. So in total, we had 19.3 million of program expenditure and project expenditure for the year compared to 36 million in the previous year. And then our unrealized gain in the investment is the one that's shown at the bottom. So all in all, we recorded a surplus for the year compared to a deficit for last year, mainly due to the fact that we had this unrealized gain in the value of our investments picking up towards the end of the year. The next slide just sets out basically the food relief campaigns that we had, which Jamala touched on in his report, which was the e-media HCI Foundation campaign, which was the one that is run on the television, and the other one was the Maitri Trust distribution. Basically, it just sets out to show 23.3 million of donations came through from the public on the e-media campaign, and we had disbursed 22.5 million in payments to the lunchbox fund, and then there was a small amount attributable to distribution costs and an admin cost, and there's a balance of 21,000 which we'll give to them in this financial year. And then in the Maitri Trust distribution, the same day, we had 3.9 million of donations that came through from the public, and we had given 3.95, just about 1,000 rand or so less to all the beneficiary organizations. And that's our financial statements. Thank you. Is there any questions or anything like that that I can address?
Thanks very much, Kev. Thank you for that. I mean, it does show in great detail how COVID hit us badly. And for those of you who don't know, we don't raise funds in general, other than our campaign that we did with ENCA, which was to raise funds for the distribution of food. But you know, our money comes through our investments, and we were hard hit in this last year, and so that's also been a big problem for us, but hopefully we will get stronger and our investments will get stronger. Thank you so much. All protocol has been observed in regard to our financials. They were accepted at our Board of Trustees and our auditors reappointed. So we don't need to do any of that right now, but I am going to ask Barney to field any questions if there are any. So this is your opportunity. And I have to say, you know, generally this AGM now would be in association with our community transport event, where we get all of the beneficiaries of community transport to come together and meet each other and we have a fun day. So we can't quite do that, and I can't get you to dance or jump around or do yoga or breathing or any of that, but yeah, stretch your legs and do something and then get yourselves ready to ask some questions, because it's nice to have some interaction and we know we're not talking into the void. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thanks, Barney. Over to you.
Thanks, Corinne. I'd like to just invite anyone to ask any questions to Jamala, to Corinne, to Kevin with regards to the financials. I know that, as Corinne mentioned, it's usually very vibrant in this chat group, so please put any questions in the chat group. Please also feel free to raise your hands and I can give you the floor to ask your questions. I also know that sometimes there aren't always a lot of questions, but there are a lot of great compliments for the phenomenal work that the foundation does. So please also feel free to share those. I won't restrict it just to questions. Please let me know if you have any questions. Anybody got any hands raised? Well, let me start with the chat. There've been some phenomenal compliments to Jamala and the team. Lawrence from Zip Zap says, Corinne, such a blessing to see you. And even virtually, we can feel your care and your energy. Also, a lovely message for Jamala. Thank you for focusing on partnership and collaboration, the essence of human nature. Together, we can achieve more, better, further. Thank you, HCI Foundation, for the continued support and compassion. So some phenomenal, lovely, lovely messages there on the chat group. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Okay, the first question that is on the group here, Jamala, perhaps I can frame it and send it your way. If I need a job or vacation work, how do I go about doing that?
Yeah, difficult one to answer because, of course, you know, we don't know the details about the individual. But what I should say is that we've got a graduate development program, which it's a vehicle that we use to link our bursary recipient, the graduate of our bursary recipient, to any opportunities within the HCI group or within our partner NGOs. What I would suggest to the person who has the question, let me see the person here. Well, just to send us their CV, if they've completed their study, send us their CV and we'll keep them connected. Should there be any opportunities that match their skills, we'll send their CV or we'll actually inform them to apply. Really, that's what I can give as an answer at the moment.
Thanks very much, Jamala. Also, just for everyone to be aware that I do also copy and paste all of your comments and compliments in the chat that I will forward on. So also to the extent that we don't get to all the questions, your questions will be answered. Jamala, another question just with regards to the recording of the AGM. Will that be put on our website or will anyone be able to access that?
Yeah, it will be a huge file. And what I would suggest, if anyone wants the recorded AGM, we can just send us an email. You should have our emails, you know, we're interacting with you and we'll be able to, you know, maybe zip it and send it to you should you need it. Just write to us and we'll send it through.
Great, thanks very much. The next question is, I'll also just pass it on to you, Jamala, is as an HCI alumni, can they apply for a bursary in the year of going into honors?
Definitely, definitely. Our honors program, that's really the role of our honors program. We're moving into honors and postgraduate studies because we know there is fewer bursary opportunities in that space. So if you are alumni, please apply. And of course, we'll review your application and get back to you.
Thank you, Jamala. As always, there are more compliments on the group than questions. One of the shout outs here is a shout out to Melusi for a great Freedom Day commemoration. Thanks to Jamala and Kevin for a great presentation. Just another question that's come through. what are the chances of being funded by the foundation for my honors since I've been a recipient before? Does that diminish your chances, Jamala, if you can take that?
Well, actually, your chances are quite high because ultimately we would love you to continue with your honors degree. But of course, it's very competitive, I have to say. We have got quite a few requirements, but as a continuing bursary recipient, you should know we always interview students. So I would encourage you to apply and we'll get back to you.
And a follow on from that, essentially, can you give us the dates and the deadlines and when people can apply for those honors programs as well? Can you just give us some dates on if the applications are open? We usually work with the September rotation, but I think maybe just update people.
We are changing our timeline. And because in line with, I think, and we'll see how things will go with the level 4 lockdown, but hopefully we want to start in October. What we will do, I think the easiest way we will do is that all our students will send them notification, all of them, and the link on how to apply. But in October, I think just 1st of October, be ready to apply for a bursary from the foundation.
Great. And just a clarification question from Vincent. To be clear, if a person applies for this present financial year, will they be funded or applications are submitted for the following year? Vincent, applications are for the following year. Are you happy with my answer there, Jamala?
Happy.
Kayeletu, what a beautiful name. It means our home. Kayeletu's question is, in fact, it's a comment to the extended foundation team to let everyone know of the appreciation for your help in assisting me get my honors degree. Now I'm working in establishing an NPO. And so I want to find out if the foundation can fund this endeavor. Kailetu, Jamala, can you give a brief response for Kailetu, please?
Kailetu, firstly, congratulations actually for completing your studies. And this is what we want to see. We want to see our students becoming the leaders in society, being there to solve problems in their community. So really wonderful to hear what you have achieved. Kailetu, what I would suggest is you've got our contact details, send us an email, let's talk to us. We usually require any organization to apply for funding, but talk to us. We'll send you an application form for funding, and we'll have to review and get back to you. But congratulations again for what you've achieved, and we want you to continue doing the great work you are doing in the community.
Jamala, just another extension of the postgraduate bursaries. Master's exact. Can you talk a little bit about whether master's programs are funded?
No, unfortunately, we are not funding master's degrees. And why? I think maybe that's the question. Quite a few reasons. Firstly, it's limited funding. And secondly, at master's level, there is quite a lot of funding compared to honors level. We know National Research Council, they usually apply, people can apply for funding, but critically speak to your supervisor. When you want to do master's, speak to your supervisor, speak to your university, and they will be able to guide you on where you can get funding based on the kind of research you are doing. That's why we are not funding master's degree at the moment.
Okay, and I think I'll hand this question to Corinne and to you, Jamala. Perhaps you can answer it for yourselves. What is the core value of the foundation and what keeps you motivated each day to help others? So Jamala, maybe you can answer that, and maybe Melusi also can answer that. Let me take Corinne off the hook for a change.
Well, there is one big thing. We talk about passionate productivity. Ultimately, we want to see people who are passionate. We want to see people as well who are very ethical. And you want to see people who have got that selfless habit. They want to give back to others. So ultimately for us, really openness, honesty, all those things. But we feel like if you are passionate and you want to really achieve your dream, if you're passionate, you'll make it happen. But if you make it happen and you've got that ethical kind of sound and knowing what is right and wrong, because we know where we are in the country at the moment. Those are very important values that we want to see. And ultimately, we want you to go out there and give back to your communities, support those who are less privileged. I'll put it in those three elements, and I feel maybe Corinne, if she wants to add something, she'll come on board.
You know, one of the things that I always do at our transport event is introduce the team. So this is my opportunity. I'm not going to comment on that, but I am going to bring in Malusi, who is part of our HCI Foundation team. Introduce yourself, Malusi. I guess most people know you, but could you come onto the screen and maybe you'd like to add?
You're on mute, Malusi.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back, chair of chairs. Hi, everyone. Here's my face, Malusi Ndoyapi, from the foundation, and it's nice to meet everyone. Just to say to the question, Apani, I think one of the things we believe in as the foundation is that everyone is born with a potential. So our role, it is to nurture that potential and also support it so that it can flourish. So also that's what drives us as a foundation. Yeah, Tuli?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tuli Swamaji from the HCI Foundation. Pleased to meet you this morning. I am the Program Administrator and Mentoring Officer. Welcome to our session. Thank you.
Chairperson, can I also say something on that question? Yeah, I think it's a very important question. And for me, I just want to say that I believe that everyone that is at the head of the HCI Foundation are dreamers. But they're not only dreamers, but visionaries. And I think because of that, the foundation and all its subsidiaries as a key, they feel that they have a key social responsibility towards our country and our communities. And like the others said, that is the key driving force behind why we are helping. The reason why we continue helping is because all our beneficiaries thus far, as you could have heard in Jamala's report, are people that also have the same vision like we have and continue to help and create better communities.
Thanks very much. Just in terms of two more questions, and then I will leave some of the others for the next question slot. Someone has asked how they go about getting involved in charity drives, living in Cape Town. I think if you send us your details, we'll be able to put you in touch with some of the organizations that we do work with, and we can take it from there. A lot of shout outs for Malusi and Tuli. They really have phenomenal energy. So it is actually really nice that everyone's picked that up and seen that. I think, Madam Chair, let me hand over to you for the next slot.
Thanks very much, Barney. Thanks for doing a good job and fielding those questions. Thanks, Rachel, for coming in there. I think we are, of course, all passionate and about doing work which helps others and reaching out. That's what we're about, reaching out and enabling people and organizations to be the best, to do the best, to fulfill their potential. So talking about reaching out, I think we come to an interesting part of our session, and I'd like to introduce you to Sue Wildish. Now, we had known about Sue and the work that she did with the Lunchbox Fund before we started our campaign with e-media and the food relief campaign. But we have been blown away actually by our interactions with Sue. And I'm sure she's going to blow you away today as well in conversation. So welcome, Sue. Lovely to see you. And you know, Sue, I see that one of the things that you did, and I don't know where you did it, but you worked for industry. You were in the profit making world for a while, and then you gave that up. So perhaps you can tell us why you gave that up and joined an NGO.
I worked in the music industry specifically for most of my career in South Africa, then in the UK and in the US, and I absolutely loved it, you know. And you're right, we were definitely in the money-making, profit-making industry, but we were also in the art, the music, the design, the video, all of that side of things. I gave it up because the last job I had, which was in New York, running the international division of the label I worked for, was stressful. And I worked for somebody who was undermining what I held to be at the core of myself. And that caused a huge amount of internal stress in me. It was the first time in my working life that I had been exposed to such an intense environment of, I suppose the buzzword these days is toxic. And I just was like, I can't do this anymore. Then I went back to college and I retrained as a counselor. I did applied psychology. I did that for a little while. And then a friend of mine who ran an HIV/AIDS organization said, we need a business brain to come and pull this thing together because we're growing and we're not too sure what we're doing. And I started doing that. I came back from New York to South Africa and I loved it. I loved it. I loved that you could do the two things. I loved that I could take the skills, everything that I've learned, because I don't think anything you learn, the good, the bad, the indifferent, the boring, the awkward, the ugly, everything you learn, you take that with you and you can bring it to bear on what you know to make something better. So I was able to take their finances and, you know, pull them together. I was able to kind of put together a mission statement, do all that stuff that's really important for an NPO so that people are clear on what you're asking for when you go to them for funding. Because I was used to touring with bands, which I did, I put together a little band there, which was an HIV positive ultra marathon team. So, you know, this was sort of 10 years ago, 12 years ago, people who are living with HIV, who are experiencing the day-to-day stigma of that. How could we lessen that stigma by telling the story? And I mean, if you walk into a room of people who are newly HIV positive, and you tell them that tomorrow you're going to run 94 or 92 kilometers, you immediately are giving people hope. You know, you're saying to people who mostly can't run a kilometer, me, nah, as Evelina Chabalala always just said, nah, 94 kilometers tomorrow. And then people would see, I can live, I can talk about it, I should take my ARVs. When that started to run down, I was offered the job at the Lunchbox Fund. There you go.
Great, Sue. I mean, I think that, you know, your point that you take everything you learn and you can use it is a really valuable one, especially for our students, because often they feel they've studied one thing and they really should stick with that. That's their career path. And what it really says is actually you can be anything, but you can use the skills you've learned. So thank you for making that point. And Sue, I see that you had a quote in one of the interviews, which I really love. And I guess that speaks to what the Lunchbox Fund is about, which is an empty stomach has no ears. And maybe you can use that as your launch to talk about the Lunchbox Fund.
Every single civilization, well, every single community, every single country, every single civilization around the world has that a version of that quote as something that they say. We can't focus, study, learn, grow, play, love, be happy if we're hungry. It is the most basic of everything. We deserve in this world to be able to be fed. So one of the things that when I was thinking about working for Lunchbox Fund, and I had seen this, is that lack of education impacted the spread of HIV so profoundly. So how could we go back to where we started? How can we go back to education? It's like what you said earlier about violence. You know, if you get a child really early and you say to a child, here, this is what you need to learn about the world. This is what we can teach you. This is what you can teach us. To me, that seemed to be the most crucial thing that I could offer to my country, having come back, to start with the very young and then everybody after that. So how do we do that? Providing nutrition is not an easy thing to do in terms of raising funding for it. People see a meal as being a consumable. Once it's eaten, it's done. And I know that there are ladies out there right now that I know that we're all going to work with in your HCI in Excellence program, who are going, they have to eat, they have to eat, they have to eat. And I went round from school to school to school when I joined, and all these women were stopping me and going, the government is feeding primary and secondary. You go feed the babies. Go figure out how to feed the babies. So our babies are hungry. Our babies, when they get to school, if they've even got the opportunity to go to school with no food in their tummies. How do we change that? And the way that we decided to approach that was to create what we call resource stacking. So for us to provide meals into early childhood development centers, creches, preschools, what have you, where there was no education happening, didn't make sense. But to partner with people that were already providing education into the school in terms of training of the facilitators or helping them to get the partial care grant from the Department of Social Development, helping them with infrastructure, helping them with food gardens, all that sort of thing. For me, it was a natural thing to partner with those people to create a composite response to what was a very, very complex problem. So we've been doing that for the last years. I mean, our schools are our partners too. You know, you go into a school, you offer nutrition as an incentive for people to send their children to school. You guarantee that meal. You say your child will definitely receive a meal if you bring your child to this place of learning. People do, because everybody wants their children to grow. Everybody doesn't want their kids to be hungry. There's nobody who looks at a child and goes, I like the fact that you're hungry. But to see that over the last couple of years, people, you know, have been looking at, and this is a conversation Jamala and I had the first time we met, like for 20 minutes before COVID jumped on our heads, to see funders, to see other organizations, to see big grant makers starting to take cognizance of something that to us is so self-evident. It has been a really interesting journey over the last 2 or 3 years.
And Sue, what do you feel is the direction for the Lunchbox Fund? I mean, maybe tell us what you do. I know that pre-COVID, you were doing hot meals, and tell us your reach and whether you still can continue to do hot meals, but certainly your campaign with HCI Foundation and with ENCA or eMedia was really about food hampers. So it was a little different to the hot meal situation. So how do you see that working, and how does one sustain food? Yeah.
Well, we're now we've always had one focus, which is to provide meals into schools. And the way that we do it is by providing boxes of food that are delivered to primary, secondary, and after school programs, and also into early childhood development centers. We're the only organization in the country that can tailor the response that we provide into the school. Small groups, very early morning groups, play groups, and what have you, get a breakfast that comes in 3 flavors that is highly fortified, that is prepared there by their facilitator, and the kids sit and eat. People that are able to cook receive a box of provisions that can be combined in different ways to create meals throughout the course of a month to provide the child a hot meal every day. We still do that. We did that for most of last year as well. And then we did relief feeding in addition to that. So, I mean, basically, the relief thing, I was very chary about getting involved in relief feeding. I had worked on Live Aid back in the day. I saw what the chaos that surrounded the actual distribution of the money and the distribution of the food that happened. And I think Jamala and I talked about it early on. There could not be chaos. This thing had to be really, really well put into play. And it was a case of when we sort of pivoted the nutrition program, because we had to keep the money that we had raised for the nutrition program separate and distinct from anything that came in terms of COVID-19 funding. I'm very careful with everything to do with money. You know, that's where people get tripped up in this world, is with money. So we opened a whole new set of ledgers. We channeled all that money in there, and I was very clear with our funders. This is what we can do for you. This is the time span. This is how we do it. This is what's in the box. And how can we do this together? Your guys, I mean, Malusi was cha. You know, Malusi, we had an agreement that we would register every single box would be signed for, because we didn't want boxes to go astray. We didn't want anybody accusing anybody of, you know, selling things in spaza stores and what have you. It had to go into the hands of the member of the family that was coming to receive it. And Malusi kept on us, you know, and he followed up with all the organizations. We delivered to an organization. They did micro distribution. People stood in lines, social protocol. I mean, we did this in lockdown. Social protocol, sanitizing, masks, sign, take your box, have a picture, and off you go. And in that way, we were able to show you guys, the HCI Foundation, but also a wide range of people who then came on board, what could be done, again, in partnership with people. Because, you know, the composite has the funder, without whom none of it is possible, implementing partner, which is the NPO, and then the on the ground in community people who have the real understanding of what their particular problem is. So we didn't implement a solution that would just work for certain people. We had to look at developing something that would work for the whole country and would work in extreme rural areas as well as work in peri-urban and urban areas. But it was open and close, open and close, open and close. So we'd be doing relief feeding, then the schools would open. So we'd be doing relief feeding and school feeding, and then the schools would close, and we'd be back in relief feeding. Then we had to, how do we get our children in early childhood development centers food? Because the primary and secondary schools are open, but the ECDCs aren't allowed to open yet. We send porridge packs, take home porridge packs. And because we work with our partners on the ground, they said, if you've got one child in ECD, there's usually two. And sometimes if there's two, there will be three. So what we used to do was we would send per 2 children per family, that they would be able to eat any meal that would have been missed from school. So we actually fed even more children last year than we would have in a normal 35,000 child year. And you know, we raised 87 million rand into the relief feeding, and we provided almost 24 million meals in relief feeding, and we raised 17.5 million rand into the nutrition program and provided 5 million meals. So I won't lie, last year was a sprint, a marathon sprint.
I think that what we learned was how important it is to have partners that we can talk to, that are on the same page as us. And the big thing for us was accountability, and accountability for money and for product and for the food getting to the right people. And that was wonderful. When that came together, I think that was pretty wonderful. We didn't have any sense that, look, something weird is going. And you had some tricky situations, didn't you? I mean, you came into one town where you were asked to kind of funnel the food elsewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, we did have a couple. We had a couple of trucks that were hijacked and the food was stolen. but we had put insurance in place so that everything would be replaced should that happen. So we had taken care of all of the sort of back end of it. I mean, we had people who were rocking up to our micro distribution sites, people in positions of power within a little community who had vans who were offering to take, you know, we were delivering huge amounts of boxes, 500,000 boxes, 500 boxes, 1,000 boxes. We've been told by Lunchbox Fund we should take 500 boxes. You must give them to us. But we had also sent every single micro distribution site a letter going, this is how we're doing it. If you have any diversion from this, here's the number to phone. And so it was real-time response that we were able to do as well.
So I think that you need a contingency plan to deal with those kind of issues. And,
Always.
you know, one of the things that I'm impressed about when I read your story is, I think, and this is true for many NGOs, you set out on a path to do something, and then suddenly there are all sorts of unintended consequences. One of the things you mentioned was you set out to do feeding in schools and suddenly realized, well, who's going to prepare this food? Actually, you hadn't really thought about that. And, you know, we are hoping to work with another NGO that started off by providing solar electricity. And when they started doing that, suddenly realized, but hang on, electricity isn't even the main problem. Water is the main problem. And so they went off on a totally different tack. And so I think being able to respond to the situation is pretty critical. And that's what you've done, even with COVID. But you've had to rely on partners.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe you'd like to talk about that and the way forward. How do we go forward?
Well, I mean, I hope that anybody that's on this call that is a partner of ours knows how much we value them, and that by listening to them, I was able to refine a lot of what we did. Because you're right, you know, as somebody said to me early on, that if you're going to provide relief feeding, you have to do it with dignity. And dropping a pile of products in front of somebody on a sandy street, you know, somewhere is not with dignity. So we boxed all of our so it was a handing over to the way I felt about it. And I was hardcore with this about our producer. It was like, from me to you, the gift of sustenance, which I thought was a really key thing. And that's the same that we do it with the schools. No money changes hands between ourselves and the schools. It's a box of Lunchbox Fund products from us to you, the gift of sustenance for the children. That is very important to me. Making sure they can afford a woman to cook it, very important, but a small part of what we do. The way forward, well, we have rebuilt our program because a lot of schools had to close, you know, the numbers have dropped. We've partnered with HCI again in our now, Jamala, I'm calling it our Excellence in ECD program. And we will be through that feeding 2,300 children, 300,000 meals between July and June next year, with a wide range of NPOs who are working very directly in early childhood development and in very creative ways of getting early childhood development to kids who will not normally be reached. So there's mobile ECD units, there's toy libraries, you know, there's people are setting up amazing like tents and teaching the children inside that, but also inviting parents to come and watch the child be taught how to play, be taught how to read, be taught how to count, you know, all that sort of thing. So for me, all these organizations that you guys have been in, you know, that introduced us to, the women, and it is mainly women very often, the women have gone into their communities, seen what's needed, designed an intervention, that is suited to that community. And I want to partner with those people. You know, I want to take the money that you guys give us. I want to partner with those people. I want to feed those children. And we want to bring those children into our whole society, because if we don't, we're going to lose all their genius. We're going to lose all their abilities, all their potential. We're going to lose their art and their music and their rhythm. We're going to lose their brains and their ability to design rocket ships, you know. So we want them. So that's the way forward for Lunchbox Fund. Little kids, focus. Big kids will take care of you too, I promise. But little kids, we're there.
Fantastic, Sue. I mean, it's, you know, we could go on. It's always inspirational to listen to you, and it's just wonderful to see how you've combined the arts and the money and the science of, you know, running a project that absolutely, you know, reaches into all those areas. So thank you so much, and we continue to stack our resources. That was your word, resource stacking. Getting different organizations, different people to work together. It's the togetherness thing again, and we hope to continue working together for a long time forward. So thank you very much. Thanks for all your dedication, your passion, and your time, and for talking to us today.
My pleasure, anytime.
And so there will be question time. We won't do it right now. We will let Sue fall into the background a little until question time, because I want to build on this issue of resources and stacking resources. It happens on the global level, it happens on the local level, and it happens on the individual level. Where we can engage with another person, we are building resources. And so what I want to come to now is a very special conversation that I'm going to have with a mentor and a mentee from our bursary program. And our mentor is with us. She is a general manager of Tsogo Sun Hotel. So she's part of the HCI group. Tsogo Sun falls under the HCI group. And her name is Leanne Murugan. She is, in my opinion, managing one of the greatest hotels in South Africa, Suncoast Casino. So Leanne, can you come to the screen, please?
Yes, hello, Corinne.
Hi, Leanne. Lovely to see you, and lovely to welcome you. And yeah, I guess it's a bit of a women power day today. As Sue said, often it is the women who make things happen. And you certainly making things happen, Leanne. So just before we get on to the conversation with your mentee, who is Bonginkosi Dlamini, I'd like to just know, what has your path been, and how did you decide to become a mentor, and how long have you been with Tsogo? What was your journey in Tsogo Sons? And yeah, tell us a bit about that.
Sure. Thank you, Corinne, and good morning to everybody. Thanks, Corinne, for having me, and Jamala, thanks for inviting me as well to be part of this here. Well, my name is Leanne Murugan, and I am currently the general manager of Suncoast Hotel based in Durban. I've been with Tsogo Sun for the past 10 years, however, been in the hospitality industry for the past 23 years. So worked at various hotel groups, that being Hilton Hotel Group, as well as the Three Cities Group. However, I must say over the past 5 years, this has been the most rewarding part of my journey as a manager in the hospitality field. We talk about mentorship, you know, I always say it's not for everybody. And it's a decision that I took because it's something that I want to do personally and to give back. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to have a mentor, you know, over the past couple of years, but I really see the value in this program. And just going back to what's been discussed, Corinne, over the past hour, you know, you guys have really got it right. If you're looking at holistically, you know, you're talking early childhood development, you're talking the Lunchbox Fund, you're talking the mentorship program. And, you know, it's eventually the mentee that goes back into society and to give back to society. And that's the well-rounded person that we're looking for. And you really got it right. So well done to HCI and the foundation for this program that you guys have. So just to talk a bit about my journey, I've been a mentor for the past 3 years with the program. And again, it's quite a rewarding journey for me because it's an opportunity to give back. I started my journey with my mentor, so my mentee this year in March, Bongi. It's really been quite challenging at times, but again, rewarding at times. When we talk challenges that we face, Corinne, one of the challenges is that Bongi is currently a third-year student at the University of Pretoria, and I'm based in Durban. So we haven't really had the opportunity to have that one-on-one interaction as yet. Form of communication is via WhatsApp, FaceTime, email. So, having that one-on-one interaction really kind of would make the whole program a bit more rewarding, if I can say that. So that is one of the challenges that we have faced as a mentee and a mentor. Other than that, she is a third-year student in public management and international relations. And I'm a hotel general manager. So it's really out of my comfort zone. And, but again, that's challenging for me. And, that's one of my learnings that I've taken from this program.
So I think that is one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. As a foundation, as an NGO, we always talk about reaching out, but there also is something called reaching in. And as much as we are giving out, we are learning all the time. And we take something back. When we give, as Sue said, when you give to hungry children, you get enormous benefit in return. I mean, the joy of seeing that those children can learn. And I just wondered, what makes you, what does this give to you, really? Because it does take time and effort and the logistical difficulties, and you don't know her program, but what do you get out of it?
With the relationship that I have with my mentee, it actually goes beyond the mentee and mentor relationship. She's now become someone that I've taken on that I want to see grow, that I want to see develop and succeed in life. I've taken on that responsibility. So my journey with her doesn't just end in this one-year program. It's going to continue. And the lessons that I've learned from this year is that to be a mentor, you need to be a good listener. You need to be a role model. You need to be a guide and a coach. And ultimately, you want to be that person that adds value to your mentee's journey. And, I see that with our relationship. We chat ever so often. It's not really something that it's a formal meeting every month because we go through what's your exam timetable, looking at what kind of support you need. But we WhatsApp each other every second, third day just to see how you're doing, how's things going, how's the family. So it's more of that mentee and mentor relationship for us, Corinne. And in the beginning, I said it's something, it's a calling, unfortunately, because it cannot just be a job. It cannot be a tick box. It's something that has to come from within. And being a mentor isn't easy. You really need to enjoy the journey with your mentee. And I think that's where I'm at the moment. So in terms of me and what I get out of it, it's something that I want to do moving forward because it gives me the satisfaction that I'm giving back. And that's what I really want to do. I might not be able to give back financially or whatever it may be, but I can share my skills, I can share my knowledge, I can use my resources and my networks to get this person to the next level. And that's really the reward for me.
Yeah, wonderful, that's wonderful. So I'm going to bring Bongi in now. Bongi, can you come to the screen? And maybe just stay on, Leanne, because there might be things that you want to suggest to Bongi that you talk about. Bongi, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Lovely to see you, Bongi. Bongi Dlamini, third-year student at University of Pretoria, doing public administration. Is that right?
It's public management and international relations.
Public management and international relations. So Bongi, tell us, you're a bursary recipient of HCI Foundation. How did you come to know about, or how did you get this bursary? What made you think that there was such a thing?
Well, coming to having a bursary, or coming to actually searching for HCI, I was just on the internet looking for bursaries that may assist me, because I was in a difficult financial position coming to university. My mother is a single parent. Like, all the responsibility is on her, and she just couldn't afford to take me through university. So we had to contact different bursaries and try and apply and just try my luck. We were rejected a number of times, but we're just thankful that we got the opportunity from HCI, who actually did consider me, and yeah, here I am today.
Okay, because that leads me on to my next point, Bongi. You are a student in third year, but you spend a lot of time doing other things. And I think that is what is so amazing is, you know, one of the things is when we take on students and we say, well, what's your vision and how are you going to participate in society? So tell us about what you do for your community and your community of students.
Okay, so I currently have a foundation, which is a tentative foundation, which was created from a group of people. Me and my co-founders, we created it with the vision of being able to give back to the community. All our members, they are very focused and driven and very passionate about education and being able to assist learners who are experiencing the same issues or struggles that we were experiencing when we were in high school, when we were in university. So the foundation is just, it's basically about facilitating access to online education. We work in partnership with Junior Takis, which is also an educational platform that provides learning and educational and technical material to learners in grades 10 to 12. And we mainly assist disadvantaged kids and learners who are in underfunded schools, orphanages, and as well as juvenile centers. With regards to the juvenile centers, we are currently working with Dr. Boyens, who is a senior lecturer and criminologist at the University of Pretoria, who is aiding us in getting access to juvenile centers so that we are able to assist juveniles in their rehabilitation, and also just for them to be able to have a second chance at life and have a success, actually, to be more successful in what they want to do, instead of dealing with things relating to why they were in the juvenile centers in the first place. So we just want them to deviate from their past and just understand and see that there's more to life and that they can actually make something of themselves, even if it's through education. So yes, we mainly do work with those initiatives, but yeah, we primarily focus with grade 12s, and we assist them, well, grade 11s and grade 12s, and we assist them with applying for universities and for getting bursaries and scholarships as well.
And when did you start the foundation?
We started it in 2019.
So you were in first year?
Yes.
And how old were you then?
I was 19.
So that is pretty amazing, Bongi. I mean, to come into university and start a foundation and reach out to, to your peers. And I'm sure that you have so much success because this is a peer-run organization. The people
yes.
who volunteer are with you at university, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I mean that's pretty remarkable. And tell us a little bit about your relationship with Leanne and what that does for you, having a mentor.
Leanne has been such an amazing mentor. I'm very grateful and honored to have had the opportunity to have a mentor like her. She's been very supportive and informative. she's assisted me in so many ways that I'm very, very grateful for. There are a lot of aspects that I didn't know, especially when it comes to the workforce, that she has assisted me. She's also put me in contact with some of her colleagues as well to assist me in areas where I don't understand. And it's just, I'm really thankful, and I understand like the need for having a mentor. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have her as a mentor.
Well, she says you're assisting her too with things she didn't understand. So it's a pretty good mutual relationship, I must say. Leanne, anything that you'd like to come in and say to Bongi at this point?
You see, Corinne, it's all about collaboration. That's what it's all about. Bongi, she's really the star here, Corinne. For her to come in, first year of university, to put something like this together and to see it through, it can be stressful, but she's done it. And like I said earlier, it's all about giving back to society. So we've groomed this person now to go into society, give back to society, and then, start her journey. And hopefully she now too will become a mentor to somebody. So I'm very proud of her. It's not often you get individuals like these wanting to do something for somebody else. So well done to you, Bongi. Very proud of you. Well done.
It's very inspiring, and I have to tell you that it's a real treat and a gift to have a mentee like you, Bongi. And I just wonder, what is your hope? Where do you feel you're going to go to in your future journey?
With regards to my foundation?
With regards to your foundation, with regards to your studies, with regards to you as a person.
Okay, I think my first and most important thing is just I feel like my foundation really has such great potential to succeed. We currently have we're assisting more than 200 students a week, and the demand is, it's really demanding, like it grows like every single day. I feel like the only issue that we have are obviously financial constraints, but once those have been sorted out, like I feel like there's a lot more that we can do, and many more students as well that we will be able to assist. With regards to me personally, I would just also obviously like to hopefully continue as well with my studies and do honors next year. And yeah, just to focus on the foundation as well, developing and thriving.
So, I mean, that is remarkable, 200 people a week that you're assisting. And how many of you are working in the foundation?
Currently, there's 5 of us that are working.
All students?
No, okay. Well, our CFO, he is currently he studied, he is a financial analyst at Alexander Forbes. So he handles budgets and funding proposals and all of that because he studied actuarial sciences. So he's an actuarial scientist. And we also have Kia Mushabene, who is also a private investment manager for Standard Bank as well. So they are mostly the only 2 who are working and assisting with the foundation, but the rest of us are students, but mainly in final year as well.
So that is absolutely brilliant. I mean, talk about resource building. You've managed to draw in all sorts of people, and now, of course, you've got Leanne on your side, and who knows what sort of contacts that's going to give you. So absolutely wonderful, and thank you for joining us, Bongi. It's really, I mean, you can see from the chats that people are blown away by what you've done and what you've achieved in your 3 years at university. Incredible work, and I just hope you go from strength to strength. I'm sure having Leanne on board helps a lot with that too. But you've already reached out to so many other people in the professional and in the business world. So I'm sure that helps enormously. And hopefully from today's exposure, more people will reach out to you. So it is all about collaboration, about building resources, and good luck to you. And Leanne, thank you so much. Thanks for your work. Thanks for being a mentor. And I will end the conversation there. Thank you to Bongi and Leanne. And hand over now to Bongi for question time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are not a lot of questions, just a lot of great compliments. The questions that have come through with regards to bursary and honours programs, the question was answered by Jamala earlier, so please just look out on the website and keep in mind the end of September date. I've got quite a few of those directly, but some phenomenal, I must stop using the word phenomenal, some really positive, inspirational, these are all shout outs to you, Bongi. The future belongs to the youth. Bongi, this was amazing. What an inspiration. And then earlier to resource stacking queen, there's also just been some lovely feedback and some real inspirational, thank you, Sue, very inspirational, very practical. Someone is also going to reach out to Sue to try to put together something regarding fresh produce and collaborating on that front. I think everyone who wants to collaborate, please put it in the chat. I am compiling all of these notes to send to everyone, particularly those in the foundation. All right, someone's sending me a side note asking if I'm sponsored by Digital Vibes. Very naughty, very funny. Let's see what else there is. Okay, everyone asking to collaborate, give me your email addresses and I'll put you in touch with the people you'd like to be put in touch with. And Jamala Foundation will also be able to help with that. So Corinne, there aren't a lot of questions. Some people have really just said thank you very much. Some people having some internet issues. So there aren't any more questions. So I don't know if you'd like to track on or if you'd like me to read some of the compliments.
No, I think that people can read the compliments and they are amazing. And of course, Sue is doing just brilliantly, and Leanne and Bongi just, yeah, fantastic work. So anybody wants to ask a question, you can raise your hand. You can come to the screen and ask your question. It's also nice to see people, not just in the chat box. So feel free to do that. And I think, Barney, you can see people who do come through. But if you have questions along the way, you know, we're kind of informal and try to keep the vibe up. If there's nothing right now, we can go on. And Barney, what do you think?
Yes, let's, we can move on to the poem.
Well, okay, so, you know, this poem that we're about to hear by Luanda Sindapi. I've known Luanda for a long, long time. I've been a fan of his for a long time. He was a trainee with Magna Theatre, and he subsequently did his honors in theatre writing, I think. A degree in script writing, yes, at UCT. But Luanda has been unbelievably creative. If any of you saw the play Kudu, you'll know it won 3 Fleur de Cap awards. It was outstanding. And of course, things are really bad in the theatre industry right now. I mean, I just, my heart breaks for all those actors and writers and directors and producers. I don't quite know how they're going on. We thought we had a moment of opportunity before this latest lockdown, and then of course everything got shut down again. But I really pay tribute to Luanda. He's done fantastic work, and he's agreed to come and read a poem of his to us. And Malusi, I'm wondering, or Jamala, whether you would like to say anything further about Luanda, introduce him in any way before he says his poem.
Malusi, you want to come on board and perhaps say a few words on about.
Nothing much to say, but actually just want to acknowledge that actually Luanda has also worked with the Magnet Theatre. So she was part of training offered by Magnet Theatre, one of our partners. So if anyone from Magnet Theatre is here, maybe a shout out to you. for the work that you do with young artists in the Western Cape. And we have seen many of them coming through Magnet Theatre, even some of them going to Joburg and also being involved in other in the film industry. So all the best to you, Luanda. Looking forward to the poem. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hello?
There you are. Are you in your car?
No, so I accompanied my friend. Yeah, he took his baby to a hospital, so yeah.
But you, Rwanda,
Can you hear me?
welcome. Welcome to you and nice to see you. And I know it's been hard times. And do you want to just talk a little bit about that before you do your poem? About how
Yeah, I think
has been struck.
yeah, it has been a very difficult time, you know, especially like because I had many gigs postponed, you know, and I think some of them are cancelled by now. So it has been a very difficult time, and even now I was busy writing and directing a play. So I finished the writing side of the play, but now we're working on the floor. So this level 4 came in, and then so everything now is postponed. I think we're going to shift the dates, you know. Yeah, so it's very difficult, you know.
Not an easy time at all. Not an easy time for the theatre world and for the entertainment and arts world. It's been tough, but we appreciate your coming here. And are you ready?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me properly?
We can. Maybe you could lift. Are you on a phone? You could just lift
do you
your
want me to
phone
lift?
a little bit so we look. Yes, that's better. Lovely.
Can you see me? Okay. Sorry, me start. Okay. So the poem is called Cemented, Unmoved. You know, I smell the stench of silence as I step out of the door. They used to be brimming streets, conjure emptiness. I look to where the mothers sell intestines, sheep heads, chicken feet, marinated in a sweet sauce, smoke quarreling with the wind. And as I look, my body retrieves trauma. It registers to me the 21 days are no fuss. Everywhere I go, every mouth is masked. I want to ask where to from here, but silence precedes my question. I go back home because everywhere I go, soldiers, law enforcement, the police parade the streets with rifles. We are told to hibernate, but it's not winter yet. The news relay to us that it is winter, but I see no brown leaves falling from the trees. No shriveled flowers. The soil is still moist. Somebody told me our bodies will moisturize this soil. Fear masks my dreams. But how? It's not winter yet. The wind relays to us again, reiterating, inculcating the restrictions. It is winter. The virus howling from a distance, its proximity measured by the news. It is still far. No, somebody falls untimely. The virus howls from the next door, its proximity measured by deaths, by near deaths. In the news, government vomits regulations, restrictions. We are told to mask our dry mouths, sanitize our empty hands, distance ourselves. But here, in these concentration camps, inside these hellholes, townships, we die with every breath. Somebody screamed. These regulations are not for us. The restrictions do not apply to us. Ever since the new dispensation, here we have been silent. So what do we mask when our mouths have been victims of fear to speak against state atrocities, to speak against rape, to speak against our unfavorable conditions, transactional education, to and from empty hands? What do we mask? We cannot afford it. Remember that our people cannot even buy bread. They are told to sanitize, but they do not even afford water to wash their hands. Hygiene has always been expensive to us. Practice social distancing inside four-walled claustrophobic corrugated iron sheets. We sleep, eat, bathrooms are here. How do we distance ourselves from each other in one-bedroomed halls? Again, we are not considered. We are told to work from home when they know the internet fears sharing space with us, foreign to us, trained to fear black spaces. Again, we suffer in the peripheries of the economy. When I enter, depression greets me sitting on the sofa. I thought it was here for tea. It holds my body hostage, hijacks my dreams. When I check my emails, there is nothing but cancelled. France cancelled, China cancelled, Germany cancelled, another year, France cancelled. I watch my dreams decay like a dead body, decompose, draped in maggots. They will wrap them in a plastic bag. Nobody will sing for them. And because we are masked, I sing alone at the funeral of my dreams, knowing that my body will follow. Today, the good die young, Tembambuli lives. We cannot bury him. Poignant as it is, we accept. We have accepted the regulations, restrictions. But how does an unmoving body mourn? How do we mourn while frozen? We sing when one of us falls. We dance, reciting poems. We command the ground. But where? The virus put off lights in the theater, confirmed that the black walls will resemble our livelihood. We are doomed to starvation-laden times. Artists slumber in depression, no support from the government. The only thing we hear is that the coffers are dry, money has disappeared. How? Do not ask. Just wear your mask and sanitize. This is a global issue. We are issued fear, hunger, depression, and rage. We cannot riot because social distancing is more important than a hungry stomach. Some artists worked, fought to cement their dreams, but they find their bodies cemented in NAC offices. But how? We are told to keep quiet. We are on lockdown. Mask your mouth. Silence begets depression, anger, rage, riots. But how do we protest in a police state? Regulations are better than a dead body. Regulations are better than domestic violence. Regulations are better than a dying dead artist. Regulations are better than a hungry stomach. We, the government, have no plan. Just stay at home and wear your mask, sanitize, and practice social distancing. Beyond this mess, a fogged future. I see theater makers, dancers, painters, scriptwriters, filmmakers, DJs, musicians, poets, photographers, creating magic from emptiness. They continue creating a whole from pieces of silence. The gap is a factory where collaborative methods are manufactured. They use depression as a way to ascend back to their dreams. I see them parade the streets carrying sanitizers and scripts as weapons to fight against the unknown, the unseen. They fear no more. They use the 1.5 meter distance to measure how much they love each other, how much they committed to their society, how much they care for the future of the country. They know very well that the heavens borrowed them breaths. Their bodies are temporary. So it is necessary for every breath to count, to have a purpose. So they collect whatever resources they have at their disposal to domesticate the economy. In virtual meetings, performances, we make means to build the new normal, unlearn the past, normalize the present. We have seen DJs keeping sanity in love-scattered homes, families dancing on torn mats, banging on walls, every step carrying a prayer to stay alive. I've seen depression propelling theater makers to turn their homes into theaters, making virtual performances from cell phones. I've received phone calls from artists urging me to stay alive, to write more, recite more, direct more. We have seen the power of giving, of caring for each other in difficult times, of donating a chair, lights, floor mats, food, free classes to impart knowledge, giving whatever you have. Your presence creates meaning. I've seen institutions donate lights to keep the smoke rising. With all these limited resources, regulated facilities, we have vowed at these times of shortened breaths to stay alive and to follow our purpose, which is to create a united society. I think I'm done.
That was incredibly powerful. Thank you, Luando. Just everybody thinks you're Andile. Let me say again, this is Luando Sindapi. So even though he's using Andile's phone, it's Luando Sindapi. And Luanda, yeah, I'm glad you ended on a note of hope, because that's all that we can do.
Yeah.
We need to be hopeful, but what a
Yeah.
powerful and poignant poem. And I'm just going to ask Jamala to thank you, if you will, Jamala, from one poet to another. You know that Jamala is a poet himself, everybody. He's had poems published. I think one of the questions, Luando, is also, where would you be happy to share this poem, or is it going to be published somewhere?
I'm not planning to publish it. Because I was asked to write a poem, you know. So I wrote this poem specifically for this meeting, you know. So if maybe you want me to share it, then I can share it with someone. I can share it with you if you want.
Thank you. I think a lot of people would like to have that poem. Thank you so much. Thanks for creating it. Jamala?
Luanda, you gotta share the poem.
I will
I
definitely
think
do
it's
so.
so powerful. It's so powerful. It really capture what we're living, the time we are living in. But again, ultimately tell us really to remain hopeful. You know, this is a moment where when you're talking about being in hibernation, it's also a time actually perhaps to create more, to write more, to sing more. So that's the only way we'll come out of this victorious as we emerge. We'll emerge with more material, because I'm sure people will come with people will be hungry for more art when we come out of this. So we have to be writing and doing much more of it. So thank you very much, Luanda. Really very poignant, and thank you really for gracing us with your time and just coming forward to write and perform this poem. Really appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Let's hope and pray that things will open up soon. We all miss the theatre terribly. And before Rachel says her vote of thanks, can I ask the remaining members of the foundation team to just show themselves, because they work in the background, but they're not background at all. So Sheila and Sinatemba, if you don't mind just saying hello, I know that you're shy, but it is important to us that you show who you are, so that everybody knows who our team is. Sinatemba.
Hi everyone. This is Sinatemba, the man behind the scenes. Yes, I'm a program administrator. I'm sure everyone knows me by email and telephonically. It's good to see you here.
Hi everybody, thank you for attending our second AGM. And I'm Sheila van Vlemering. I'm the beneficiaries administrator, and I also administer the community transport program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody for being here. I see some people had to leave early, but we appreciate your presence, all of you, those who've been here partly, those who've been here the whole time. And that almost brings us to a close. I'm going to hand over to our trustee, Rachel Watson, to give a vote of thanks and to close our AGM. Thanks so much, Rachel, and thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think my job has been made easier because throughout the AGM, there has been a lot of thank yous from Jamala, from Kevin, from Corin, from some of our partners, Barney, Leanne, and Sue, but also a lot of thank yous came on the chat group. So my task is to end this AGM. And I want to thank you, the trustees, the employees of the foundation, all our donors, but most of all, I want to thank you, the beneficiaries of our foundation. We certainly have come to the end of a long and tough working period. Over this period, we have faced a new and unknown problem, being the COVID-19 pandemic. And our poet has basically touched on that and specifically just told us exactly how this pandemic has basically touched us. Yes, it has brought fear. It has brought fear. It has brought hopelessness. It has brought a lot of death and sickness. And it has prevented most of us on home soil, but also throughout the world, to deliver on our plan and set out the deliverables. We've heard from Jamala in the beginning what we have planned and how we had to change a lot of things. I want to say, Madam Chair, I am honored, very pleased and inspired to address all of you today, and very humbled by the experience of merely listening to the work that has been done by our caretakers, the staff of the foundation, and to have been able to be a part of a trustees team that could receive and listen to the amazing stories of struggle, hardships, commitment, courage, and in particular, your hard fought for achievement, despite the challenges brought forth by COVID-19. We have listened to the stories of Kaya Letu, and we've listened to the beautiful story of Bongi, and it is very inspiring. I also want to say, Sue, yes, the NGO sector is by far, I believe, the hardest and most difficult and demanding sector to work in and to manage it. Sometimes it is the most ungrateful sector too. There's always someone complaining, conniving, or accusing. But if you are committed to setting and achieving your goals and to work hard, I believe this sector is the most rewarding sector. And so today, we as a foundation, we humbly thank all of you, in particular our donors, who have made it possible for us as a foundation to keep on sponsoring and supporting our beneficiaries. A very special thank you to you, Sue Waldis, Leanne Murugan, Luwanda, Barney, Kevin, and Jamala, and our chairperson for all the presentations today. I also want to say many heartfelt thanks to our previous chairperson, Johnny Copeland, for his vision, caring, and strategic impacts. Your contributions or his contributions are highly valued. This foundation under his leadership became very unique. The foundation is very special. We don't only give, but we seriously get involved in assisting our beneficiaries in creating better beneficiaries. So going forward, Chairperson, let us now again take hands and set new goals for the next period of work. There are so many challenges and many problems out there. There are many mouths to feed. There are so many academic challenges and many jobs to create. What's his name in the poem? He spoke about the sanitizing, the social distancing, and all of that. But I have to say to all of you, remember to wash your hands, keep on sanitizing, wear your mask, and stay safe. Why? Because there are a lot of work still for us to be done. And so in closing this AGM chair, I want to say, Jamala, there's been a lot of words that touched me today. And the words was words like add value, give back, sharing, assisting, create, partnerships, collaborations, purpose, second chances, building resources, learning, very importantly, hope, and finally, the next level. And therefore, I think all of us is ready for that. And I just want to say thank you. And so close this AGM by giving blessings to all of you out there. Thank you very, very much. And Corinne, you've been amazing as a chairperson today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. Well, the meeting's officially closed. And may I ask all of you to put on your videos, put on your sound, and you can greet each other, shout in person. So thanks to all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
everybody.
Well
Love
done,
you all.
everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Everybody. Beyonce is the greatest of all time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
That's good. Lovely to see you all. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye, Corinne.
Bye.
Bye, Dor. It was great to see you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, yes. Bye.
Very happy with you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.